Hello.
Hello.
Your voice sounds nice and deep this morning.
Thank you.
This is a podcast in which two friends talk about the pleasures, absurdities, and imperfections of being human. I'm Simon Ellis.
And I'm Lee Miller. Welcome to Midlifing.
I often watch, I think you know this, and I think we've talked about it, I often watch TV shows these days with audio captions on, mostly because I'm often doing other things, or I'm doing the dishes and it's a bit noisy so I don't hear so well, or, you know. Anyway, it's not because I'm... And in Jack Reacher, when the Reacher title sort of appears, the audio caption says, thunder crashing. And I think we need something like that for midlifing, like thunder crashing.
I mean,
think?
It's quite tricky because podcasting is an audio medium, so I'm not quite sure where these captions are going. So
we need
somebody to run into a
there's
house.
a slight bit of confusion on my part. I get that.
I thought you were just going to go around every listener and just hold a sign up at their door, thunder crashing, and then leave, like that man in Love Actually.
Yeah. I could do all four of them. That's right, that man in Love Actually.
Gross.
Is that man or the film? All of it. It's not your thing, is it?
I watched it once on an aeroplane, and I think it was because it was a long haul flight. It's the only, not the only, it's the one of the two long haul flights that I've taken, or I should say.
So long hauls to the United States.
I'd gone to the United States twice, both times to New York, and once I went to South Africa.
Oh.
Yes.
That's a longer flight, isn't it?
It is. It's a very longer flight, and we flew to...
It's a much more longer flight.
It's a mucher, a more, a longer flight. We went to Johannesburg and then Pietermaritzburg, so we had a connecting flight internally as well. So and I think there was quite a lag between... Yeah, so it felt like we were just airplane shaped. Aeroplane shaped.
This is a bit of a cheap diversion, but your much longer reminded me of a billboard in Melbourne. Maybe it's still there as you came in from the airport. The airport's a long way out of Melbourne, as they often are, and you'd come in sort of over the freeway, and then just as you were just about to get off the freeway, curving around in the city, right sort of in the middle of the city at the point, there's a big billboard, which must have been for something that was improving erectile function, and it just said stronger, longer, donga. But the weird thing is it doesn't quite, stronger, longer, donga, or stronger, longer, donga. Anyway, but it always did make me smile just because of, hey, Melbourne, nice to see you again.
Anyway, long haul flight, Love Actually, cried, watched it again, thought, wow, this is the biggest bag of shit I've ever watched. And it's that thing about being at altitude, it alters your brain.
Oh, you don't think it was just because the second watching you saw just how manipulative it was?
I was genuinely unhinged being that high up and that tired. So everything was just, I've got peanuts. Peanuts for me. So, everything was...
I think of all the things I miss about flying, especially long haul, is that sense of that you just use the word unhinged. I love that feeling of being disconnected. Yeah, really, and the particular sound. It's very. I find them very. I used to sleep a lot, but I've slept through a long haul where I've fallen asleep before the takeoff and slept through the landing.
Just in case people don't know this about Simon can sleep standing up.
Yeah. Everywhere. Sleep any day, any time, except in my
bed. Except at bedtime in the night. Nah, that's done.
I've had a couple of strange sort of... I've gone on a couple of benders this week.
Okay.
not not your regular drug fuel.
Oh, I was going
bender.
to say, you're not going to tell me that marijuana leads to heroin. Thank you, Tom Waits.
No, or that I thank you, Tom, or that I lost 3 days of my life to whatever it is. But I thought, you know what? Tonight's the night. I think it might have been Wednesday. Tonight's the night I'm going to find out again. I'm going to teach myself. I'm going to learn again how to fold a fitted sheet.
Okay.
There are a lot of YouTube videos
Yeah.
explaining how to fold a fitted sheet.
Yeah.
And I think I looked at 90% of them. And I actually just gave up in a slight bit of, I can't do this. And there was even one that the person had her back to the camera, which I thought was brilliant. Like, you don't have to do all that mirroring thing that you have to do in dance classes. But then what I didn't do, and so I gave up. I actually gave up. I lost an entire evening to not learning how to fold a fitted sheet. And what because I like the idea of being able to do it, like every week or 2 weeks or whatever it is, I kind of look at it, I go, ugh. And what I didn't do was look for pictorial ones, because I think maybe they're better for it.
Maybe because it's stage by stage rather than trying to see something in motion.
Exactly. So I'm going to have to go back to that, and I can report.
Well, if we're going to talk about the folding of bed linen, I have a technique.
If we don't have to.
If
Just
we are,
Susan,
but,
just hold your horses.
I have a technique where it's not patented. It's not something that I've got off the internet. I just have a way that I turn it into like a little pouch, which I'm happy with. So it addresses the sagginess of the corners and makes it quite coherent. And then I fold my duvet cover around it, and this is my favourite thing. Then I fold up 3 pillowcases, lay them on top, and then take the 4th pillowcase and slide everything inside the pillowcase, so that all of the bedding for the next time is ready to go. I just go to the cupboard, I pull out a package, and it's all there. There's no hunting, there's no confusion, there's no have I got enough pillows for this? The set is ready. That's my life. That's my life hack. You're welcome.
I'm quite impressed by that. I don't think I'd like to do that though. But I
what?
do.
Why wouldn't you want to shave the hunt for pillows off your?
Because I like the individual folding. It brings me a lot of pleasure, and I don't think having a loose, basically a pillowcase which is full of other things, a little bit like the Christmas. We used to hang out pillowcases at Christmas
That's just
time.
greedy.
That just feels.
A sock is plenty. I want you to know.
Came in pillowcases.
I want you to know that everything is folded inside of the pillowcase, so everything
Not just
remains folded. They're not jammed in. No.
It's the pillowcase that's doing the carrying.
Yeah,
that's
the
got
pillowcase.
my ever so slight OCD-ness.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Disturbed, perturbed.
Tell me, are you a bed linen ironer?
Oh no.
Okay.
Oh no, the iron never. In fact, no, we do have an iron. So the other bender. There was 2. Mm-hmm. The other bender was Lee Miller.
Oh no.
The Traitor.
The TV show, The Traitors, plural.
What? Yeah, The Traitors, is it?
I think it's plural. I've not seen it. I'm familiar with it. It's some sort of a reality TV sheet, but there's a game show element to it. Is that right? So it's like you've got to trick people to do something to win something.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good summary, actually. There is a group of people in a house, and they're living there for weeks, and a certain number of them are traitors, but they're pretending that they're all... There's 2 tribes, traitors and faithfuls, and the traitors get to every night effectively murder one of the faithfuls whilst trying to remain... it's like murder in the dark on a large scale.
Right. Okay.
And I don't know what else to... I'm not sure whether to say anything about it now, because if you haven't ever watched it...
I haven't.
Not because of spoilers,
No.
not because of spoilers, but just because it's unbelievably addictive.
So it's like a well to fall down.
it's like TV crack, basically.
Good.
But what's curious about it is and what happens at every night? I mean, I will tell you because I think you're not going to watch it, are you?
I don't know. I might not. It's unlikely.
It is very good. Why don't you watch it sometime and then we'll talk about it then?
Okay. I'll do
you can
that.
just cut this bit out and in terms of something just as an insight into human nature and the way in which groups function. It's extraordinary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it is really, really extraordinary the way in which we want to be in and the way in which we force other people out. It's mind-bogglingly hilarious and slightly disturbing because of it. Watching, not that I'd be any different if I were in that situation.
And that's the bit where I think I get a little bit anxious with those things where people have to do kind of the tasks of eating kangaroo bottom. I mean, I'm just not interested in that, and I'll never watch that because it's not a thing. Yeah,
it's a different show.
I know it is. Yeah. I'm saying that.
Just to be clear to listeners,
there's no kangaroo bottoms eaten.
I don't know what that show is.
I think it's a celebrity thing. I'm not interested. I've never watched it. It's not a thing.
Oh, is that the one that the politician? How is it that a politician became a celebrity anyway?
Yeah,
wasn't that Mike the Dick?
Mike the Dick.
That's not his name.
No, but
what's his name?
Which one? Because there's been more than one politician on it.
One of the originals, one of the OG absolute knob-ends in the Conservative Party during the pandemic.
I was going to say,
Mike,
that doesn't narrow it down.
Matt
Hancock.
Oh my God, he was on it. Wasn't he on a celebrity thing?
I believe he was. Yeah.
And did he eat kangaroo bum as well?
I don't know because I didn't watch it. Yeah.
Come on.
Okay. Sorry. What I was trying to say was that when there are those shows, not the kangaroo eating shows, when there are the ones where you have to have alliances, they make me feel so deeply, deeply unsettled because I just get such secondhand ick from everybody's behaviour that I just like, no. So knowing now that there's an alliance process, I'll never watch it.
It's not quite like that in the sense that what's more troubling, it's actually kind of more beautiful in the sense that it's predicated on trust and then mistrust. But the weird thing is about how people decide who to trust and who to not trust is slightly arbitrary or based on all the things that we would normally do if we were in a social situation. You just get a feeling about a person. You know, maybe it's the particular way they talk, or it's the way they shook your hand, all those little things that we often don't even realize we're making decisions about them, right? And so it's a little bit like that, but they're condemning people based on those kinds of arbitrary traits or states, but it is really, and so there is a sense of them trying to sort out the people, the so-called faithfuls are trying to figure out who the traitors are, and the traitors, of course, are trying not to reveal themselves. So there is this, it is alliance-like, but not really in the way in which, I don't know what they are. What's the one where they get voted off the island?
Ooh, is that Love Island? Or is it... I don't know. I don't really know any of these.
Bumped into a... Yeah, this is clearly
this is not my wheelhouse. I kind of know the names of the shows. I think there's something called Love Island. It was
like in that bad... It was in the house.
Survivor. Big Brother.
Yeah, that was one. Big Brother, both of those. Those are the two I was thinking.
Okay.
It's really is... I mean, the thing that I'm clear about is that I would be truly useless in the situation. Because I think for exactly the reasons you've described, the ways in which the capacity to connive and the capacity to think that you're right and to be sure about being right, I just don't have these... I don't have these traits. Also,
Yeah, I think what worries me is I think I might have a kind of an innate conniving ability that I try quite
so you'd be
hard.
Really good at it.
No, I'm not sure that I would be good at it. I think what I'm saying is that my worry is it would play into my worst devils and it would pull out the worst parts of me rather than, usual daily discourse encourages you, or at least encourages me, to try to be the best version of myself, to be nice to people, to be kind to people, because... Actually,
and in this case, you wouldn't be doing the editing, so you wouldn't have control over whether you actually end up appearing nice as well.
Yeah, exactly. And I don't think I would, because I worry that I worry that the baseline of me is venal and not kind.
Oh.
That's my worry.
Do you really do you entertain that possibility quite truthfully?
I think I come to judgment of people so rapidly. And I think anybody who's been listening to this from the beginning knows that is what I don't want to do. I want to be curious. I want to meet people. I want to listen. I want to understand. I want to learn. I want to grow. But my hardwiring is, nah. You know, so I worry that if I was put into a situation where the nah,
revert.
That was the purpose of the meeting, I'd just become very like, oh, and I catch myself all the time just going, oh gosh, you've really, really got to. Which is why I don't think you'll ever get me on those shows. But Simon, that makes me wonder about the thing you said about handshakes or you know, does somebody always start a sentence with I?
Yeah, well, exactly. Yeah.
What do you know what your, and I'm going to use the word triggers. Do you know what your triggers are for not trusting or not liking or not connecting with someone? Can you sort of do you know what do you know what the tells in other people are that make you go, nah, not okay?
Yeah, I'm not sure about visual ones. So I've done all those, there's all those kind of unconscious bias tests online, which are hilarious and also quite fascinating. And they don't, whenever I've done them, I don't seem to, I don't pause longer over people of color than I do of white people, which I think is that's sort of one of the tests. It's a Harvard one. I can't remember. You can, look it up online, or it'll be in the show notes if I get around to it. So yeah, I'm not sure about visual cues. Like there's something about, I think I probably have a bias. I think I am more relaxed around women than I am around men. So I think I'm more likely to be guarded around men than I am women. And I think the main one, which is not a quick one, is that sense of self-absorption. So if I'm in a conversation, if I've just met someone for the first time and they are just talking about themselves very quickly, well, I just go, wow, just a little bit of curiosity in me would just be great.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty off-putting thing, but that's very different from these kinds of things that, the fact that they're not really, we're not really aware of them. They're subconscious, subconscious.
Yeah.
I think it's, again, I'm speaking generally. I think it's really in any kind of, and I think that's really important in any sort of binary situation, meaning, in this case, I'm just choosing the binary between men and women, and clearly, that's a different conversation. But let's just say, for simplicity's sake, that the overlap is far more important to me than where they diverge, if you understand what I mean. So it's not like it's all men. And what percentage would it be, that I sort of feel slightly less at ease around men? But you also have to remember that most of my professional life has been surrounded by women.
Yeah, but the thing that I also am aware of is that most of your educational life was surrounded exclusively by men or boys.
Well, high school, 4 years of high school was it an all-boys school?
Yeah, which feels to me like massive, like huge in terms of the development of, because that's I think it's at high school.
Those years, 14 to 17, basically. See, the thing about that was that actually it was a safety zone for me, because the reason I left the school I went to was because, as long-term listeners know, I was bullied. So I was left that school to go to a school, and my part of my rationale about wanting to go to an all-boys school was just feeling like there's just something about none of the kind of stuff that was starting to go on between boys and girls as a 13-year-old, which is not really related to me being bullied. I could if I wanted to try, but I'd be making something up there. Was that so that going to that school, which was Wellington College, was basically, it became a sort of safety for me. And so I was very, very careful about the friendship groups I associated with. And that's where I really learned to try and be friends with everyone. There's a failing task if ever but I was really trying not to be in a group.
Yeah.
I spent at least the first year and a half being very, very, very careful because I just didn't try. Why would I trust anyone? I've just been bullied by my friends. So, and I'm also not just bullied, but I had the shit bullied out of me.
Yeah.
Head held down a toilet kind of bullying.
Yeah.
So and so my sort of sense was actually from that moment was perhaps it's slightly weird, but I was learning to trust men again.
Yeah.
As I was becoming a man, you might say.
That makes. That sort of rewires my understanding because I don't think I'd put those narratives together in quite that way, Simon. So I was thinking, but you were surrounded by men. You must be really comfortable. It hadn't occurred to me that the reason you were surrounded by men, the triggering action was the fact that you had been bullied by men.
Exactly.
And actually, it was more a process of healing and trying to work out how to be with rather than. Yeah, just a natural sense of bonhomie. Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, no, absolutely not bonhomie. I mean, it became that. I certainly have very good and still have very good friends from high school. And so but I think the main thing is professionally since then.
Right.
Pretty much, and not as an undergraduate. Closest friend was a boy for sure, but I still even then I think there's something about I think. I was learning to flirt and the pleasure of flirting. And so there's something about that I think, that I became comfortable with. I don't know. I don't know what it is, but I also think men are kind of horrible as well. I mean, slightly, generalization, but you know what I mean? I just think the way in which power is wielded by men, the way in which they use strength, the way in which we, I don't know. I am less trusting of men for sure.
Interesting. Thank you.
No, pleasure.
Do I?
No, I was trying to think about that. I was trying to think more about those icks you just talked about.
As in when I meet people, the icks that I have.
Yeah, exactly.
I absolutely know that it's when people talk about themselves, which is why, two things. One, I live in terror that that's me, so that's a thing.
Do you ask people about themselves?
I try to, but I worry that when I get nervous, I forget.
Because I'm in a way I think, and I don't think I'm doing this on purpose. I think I'm effectively setting a trap, which is to ask questions of people, and then they why wouldn't they just keep answering those questions or responding to those questions, as opposed to actually there's the trap is actually he's asking me questions, but he wants he
wants to talk about him, but he's only asking me about me, and then he's going to walk away and say that I'm self-absorbed. I feel like I couldn't win in that situation. Yeah.
Can you cut that bit out, because that really does make me sound like a complete arsehole, but it's so true.
But I also,
so true.
I don't think I will, because I think I might be guilty of a similar thing. But probably coming from a slightly, from a place of thinking, I think I talk about me a lot. One of the things that happens at the end of the when we
get a guy on a podcast.
When we finish recording, I look at the waveforms of your speech and my speech, and when there is much, much, much more of me than there is of you, I'm like, oh, this is going to be the worst episode in the world. I hate myself. Why did I talk so much? As if that's not what we're expected to do on a podcast. But I get really self-conscious when I can see the different waveforms, and there are some weeks, and this week will be one of them where at the beginning you've talked quite a lot. I'll be like, yes, brilliant. Simon's the one who's talking. I won't be shit. As in, I won't be judged. And because I really like listening to you, so that's dead easy for me. But I don't. Yeah. So I think that. I
mean, ideally, once we start, because the cash is starting to roll in. But once it really starts rolling in, we can just get an editor and they can deal with that. So you don't have to worry about it.
Exactly.